All right, here's a quick tutorial on how to use the Insta 360 Studio for One X when using the Insta 360X 360 camera. First thing I like to do is to take the card out of the camera, put it in a media card reader, and load all the files onto your computer. That's what you see over here on the left in a Finder. I've put all of the files off of the card into a folder, and then you drag and drop them into this left-hand side of the edit program. I will drop one, for instance, I will drop a picture, just drop it right there, and it save because I've done some work, and then it loads the new file. Says that the new file is loaded, and me looking around, messing with it the other day. I've got another picture that's actually a little better that I thought was cool that we took while we were up there using the timer on it. Set the timer, push the button, hold it out in front of you, let it take the picture. You can also use your phone app as a shutter on this thing. You can view and preview and all of that. That's a whole nother video. But anyway, drag and drop your files into here, and then you can use from right here different views that are sort of preset views that you can futz around with and make it kind of however you want it to look. That's called Tiny Planet. This one's called Crystal Ball. You can adjust it infinitely and get it like you want it. For pictures, you can do a lot of different things like that and get it positioned where you want it. Pictures and video works very similar. Get it like you want it. In a picture, you can just click this button down here and it'll give you a pop-up. You can save the picture to a file wherever you want. In video, let's go back to the video that turn down that audio. Here's the video that I want to work with for the sake of this argument here. There's a video of a NASCAR pit stop. The car is going to come into view down here in a second. And so I'm going to want to edit this video. I'm trimming to the ends of what I'd like here. You can use this control over here on the right hand side to squeeze down your actual timeline. You can see the beginning and end of the raw video, and you can see where I've squeezed it to trim out just the footage that I want to export. Some of the things down the side over here, as far as settings, you can do normal stitching, flow state stabilizations. It stabilizes the video. It sometimes doesn't look good. Most of the time it looks fine. You can calibrate your stitching to help where the two cameras meet, help stitch those corners better. Sometimes you can do that. The logo settings, you can put a logo in here that maybe is your custom logo to put on the point where the camera right there meets the lock. In this case, we've got the camera positioned horizontally sticking out. Ordinarily, you can see this nadir point looking down at the ground because most of the time you have the camera straight up and down. In this case, we pointed the camera sort of out on its side to stick out a little farther. So there's that. Up here at the top, you've got the view and free capture. In free capture, you can actually capture square 16:9 frames of video where you choose an in point and an out point, and then click the 16:9, or you choose your ratio right there, and then you export just a piece of video that is a 16:9 in our case frame. I guess if you want to put it on a phone, you could do 9:16 and make it phone worthy. That's a different look. Or if you want to put it on an old school TV. So there's your ratio formats for this, and then you do export, and you get a square rectangular for normal edit on Final Cut or other edit machine. So there's that. The export for that is right up here. Export in the corner. Change the save the changes you've made. There's your resolution. Give it a name. Give it a destination. Click OK. It exports it out. I'm going to cancel that and go back to view for the 360 view style of work. We want to export that little bit. Same thing, file, export. You get a few things here that tells you what you're going to do. But the caveat to putting this in Final Cut Pro is this particular video export settings won't work. You can change the resolution here and it may work, but I found a way that it does work. You have to choose more than one piece of video by clicking shift and click to click multiple things. Go back up here to export and click batch export. back export, change your resolution to 4K, which works with Final Cut Pro. Change the bit rate to superb because that's the best bit rate. Will give you a nice look. Stabilization, leave it on. You can change the nadir point again. Choose where you're going to save this particular project. I gotta figure out where I'm at here to save it. Gotta find my Vegas and my 360 raw. I could put it in back in and click OK, and it will go into saving it. I'm not going to click OK. You get the point. It saves it to that folder. Some of the controls back on this again are just play, go to the end of the trim, set the end of the trim. The same as you would down here. There's nothing really fancy on this at all. So there's that. It's fairly simple and straightforward. So let's jump over here to Final Cut Pro, where I have already imported the videos that have exported from the program, and they look much like this. This is the flat view, which shows you everything the camera's captured, but not stitched and wound around, so they look 360 like we did in the other. If you get back over to this program, I can show you what the flat view looks like here. And then, of course, you've got the natural view that you can spin around and look at everything all the way around, up, down, left, and right. But back to Final Cut Pro, you're going to load your footage that is an MP4 file that looks like this. And the reason I'm dropping it to a timeline here is to add, you can either edit multiple short 360s together to get you a nice VO that people can watch, and or you can add other sound, music. In this case of this pit stop, I added the radio sound from the car doing the pit stop to hear them talking in the pit stop.
All clear.
So there you go. The way to make it, to give me the square look here and not be seeing this flat screen, is the use of the 360 Sugar FX Revolve 360 effect downloaded from FX Factory. So I dropped it, just basically drag and drop it onto the video, and it shows up here in the inspector. You go to the basic presets, default view, and there's all kinds of cool little, like the tiny planet we did a minute ago. You can change it to tiny planet. It gives you some nice looks, but default gives you the flat view from one angle. The settings just below give you the tilt, x-axis, y-axis, z-axis, tilt, pan, roll to look around. So I can pan around, and it just gives you the square shot. I can use these as keyframes in a regular edit for a regular video. Say I'm working on a story and I want to use this shot, and I want to follow that car out of the pits, and it starts there, put a keyframe, and I can follow it as it drives out just using the 360 cam. And I can adjust the width of the shot too with the fisheye doohickey there. I can only zoom in so far before it becomes, but there you go, you see that. So when I'm ready to then export this video, however, to be a real 360 video on Facebook or YouTube, I need to turn off that effect and go back to this looking shot. Ready to export. Hit settings, video and audio, actually not video and audio, Apple devices, better quality. Choose the largest resolution there is. Click next to choose where you're going to put it, and click save. You'll get an M4V file just like this one right here. M4V is an MP4 file for Apple. All you need to do is go in, like I'll do for this one down here, change M4V to MP4, hit OK, hit use, and it changes the M4V to MP4. Same thing, all good to go. But that's important in the next step, which is to add the metadata to that file, which lets Facebook or YouTube read the file as a 360, and that comes from this little doohickey right here, the Spatial Media Metadata Injector app that YouTube provides as a download. You open your file with that, so I'll go and find my 12 car pit stop 360 MP4, open, click this video 360, click, leave the other ones alone, click inject metadata, click where you're going to put it, hit save. It'll add the word injected to the file name there. Once you do that, 12 car pit stop injected, this one right here. Nothing changes in what the video looks like, but it's got metadata in it that Facebook and YouTube can read. At that point, you go to Facebook, you upload the video. Any questions about this? I don't think it was too difficult to follow. 3 or 4 step process, you know. Load your footage to the computer, load your footage from the computer to the program, export from that program, load it in Final Cut, export it, give it the data, send it to Facebook or YouTube. Hope you enjoyed it, and if you have any questions, ask. I'll be glad to answer anything I can.